healing from the loss of Rab Gershon Edelstein. We know one area that Rab Gershon was very, very, very strong about was keeping children who are straying from the path at home, keeping them close, accepting them for who they are. I want to share two tiny little stories, but two amazing stories. Number one, a fellow came to Rab Gershon to talk to him about a struggle that he was having with his daughter who had walked away from the path of Shmiras HaTorah v'HaMitzvahs. She wasn't keeping. And he said, I can't have that daughter in my house. She's going to negatively impact the rest of the children, but I don't want to totally kick her out. So I rented a small apartment, a building or two away, that she could live there. She can come to the house whenever she wants, but she can't stay in my house. And Gershon said, but the rest of the kids are okay? The guy says, yeah, the rest of the kids are okay. It's just one. Gershon says, excellent idea. Take all the rest of your kids and put them into that rented apartment and keep your daughter in your home. That's a gadol's perspective. A second story. There was a young boy, when he was 9 or 10 years old, he already started smoking. And one day, his father caught him smoking. The father was so angry that he has a 10-year-old kid that's smoking that he kicked him out of the house and he says, don't ever bother coming back. The poor boy left the house in tears and he wandered around downstairs and he met a friend of his and he was crying and the friend said, what's wrong? He couldn't tell me, just I can't go back to my house and I need the bathroom. So he told him, not far away, there's a shul, go to the bathroom in the shul. The boy went to the bathroom in the shul and then he had nowhere to go. He sat down and he learned Mishnayos and he was sitting there crying while he was learning Mishnayos. An elderly gentleman walks by and sees a young boy crying. He puts his arm around him and he says, what's wrong? At first the boy doesn't want to say, but then the boy says, my father kicked me out of the house because he caught me smoking. Come, the elderly fellow said, come with me, let's talk to your father. And he took the boy by the hand and they walked up to the third floor on Rechav Dessler where the family lived, and he knocked on the door. The father opens the door and he's shocked. Standing there is his son, who he's kind of angry to see, but standing next to him is the Gadol Hadar, the Rosh Hashiva Rab Gershon. Rab Gershon says, what happened? I met your son sitting in shul learning and crying. What happened? And the father gets very angry. He goes, I caught him with cigarettes. He can't come back into this house. Rab Gershon said to him, I want you to know something. I found him in shul sitting and learning. He's not a bad child. He's a good child. The father says, but what about the cigarettes? He says, the fact that a 10-year-old child smokes doesn't show anything wrong with the child. It shows something wrong with the father. Try to understand that, and maybe you'll bring your child back home, which eventually he did. That was Rab Gershon. There was no neshama, there was no child in Klal Yisrael that was left behind. It was the kirva, it was the love that a parent has to give to a child, regardless of who they are, which clearly is manifest in the incredible Allah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had for the Gadol Rab Gershon, like Pasuk Puam Megirsa. He never stopped learning, but he never stopped living the learning that he had. Tehei nishmas Yitzurah b'tzarach hayim.